Hey, IKEA would like every. Hey,
Hi everyone. Sorry for the inconvenience. I'm really sorry about that. So basically what's happening is that this is the first time I am coming to a live stream. So this is kind of difficult for me at least. I try to figure out how to figure out all this stuff, so I apologize for all the inconvenience that you guys had to face. So today what we're going to do is create an AR application that is going to be kind of similar to the IKEA Place app, right? So if you haven't seen that app before, I can play this video and we can first of all see the video and see what they are basically doing in the app, and then we're going to go directly to the practical coding session where I am going to show you the step-by-step process to create an similar kind of app like this. And obviously we cannot possibly make it that much finished in only one class, right? But we can get the basic from here and you can use the code to polish this app, so you can develop similar kind of app in the problem space. So let's see what they're doing.
IKEA would like everyone to know about Place, our new augmented reality app. Built on Apple's new AR kit, you can easily place true to scale 3D models of IKEA furniture in your place. Scan, browse, select, move, and place. So that could mean less of this. And less of this. And probably more of this. We want to make it easier for people everywhere to imagine a better place. Share this place and this place. Try place in your place.
Right, so as you saw that this application helps you to put different kind of furniture in your own place, and you can possibly do some more interaction with that. You can rotate that, you can place it in different places, right? You can scale the furniture to see which scale suit to your environment and so on. So we can develop this same kind of concept with the current AR technology, and this is extremely easy and doesn't require a lot of coding experience. I am assuming that you know a little bit of Unity, but even if you don't know, that's also fine. We're just going to start from very scratch, from a brand new project, and then gonna go slowly so that everyone is in the same page. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, what we need to do is create a Unity project. Okay, so let's open the Unity hub. If you don't have any Unity installed in your computer, just go to unity3d.com and you'll find out the download link somewhere in here. I think if you click on the get started, you should find a option called individual, and then you can sign up for the student or the personal account, and unless you earn about, I think, 100k in 12 months, the personal Unity is free for everyone. Okay, so yeah, I'm not going to show you the whole process of installing Unity. There is a lot of tutorials out there where you can like search and install Unity in your computer. But if you are struggling, just text me. I'll try to help you out with that. Okay, so first thing first, we need to create a new project. So I just opened up the Unity hub, and I am going to create a new Unity project. I am using the Unity's 2019.3.4 version, and here I'm going to name the project as AR Furniture. I'm going to wait for a while to open the project. I think the computer is taking a little bit long because I am running the game engine and the streaming service together. I don't know. Okay, here it is. So now, just before you start developing into AR application, I'm just going to talk a little bit about where the current state of art of this mobile AR technology is. Right, there is obviously a lot of advanced headset, like Microsoft has HoloLens, right? Recently magically stopped making new devices, but I am hoping, finger crossed, they will come back. So there is this kind of advanced level headset which can track actual environment, which can use advanced computer vision algorithm with some kind of sensor fusion to detect the surrounding environment. But there is again mobile apps which are now really like taking off in the current industry because of the SDK. The SDKs are making the development process so easy for everyone that it's not that hard to create a AR application of your own from very scratch without knowing much about coding. So there are basically two popular AR SDK. One is ARCore, which is for basically Android devices, and there are certain amounts of Android devices which supports ARCore, and there is another one which is ARKit, which is for Apple devices, right? And ARKit again has some specific device requirements that you can find out in their websites. If you search for ARCore supported devices, you can obviously find the supported devices list in their website. So you can check that if your phone is basically supported with this technology, right? There is this list of all AR supported devices in that page. Now, what we are going to do today is a little bit different. We are not going to use ARCore, we are not going to use ARKit, but we are going to use both of them together. How? We are going to use the power of AR Foundation. So AR Foundation, and I'm going to go back to Google again. AR Foundation is basically a Unity tool that combines this cross-platform compatibility that Unity always provides us, right? So it combines the ARCore and ARKit together, and you write your code once, and then you can port your game or app both in the Android device or in the iOS device. Okay, so we have talked a lot. Now let's get started with the coding session, where we can actually write the code to develop an AR app. So first thing first, we need to do some installation. I am assuming that everyone who is watching this live has the Unity software installed. So if you don't have the Unity installed, maybe just do it quickly and then try to rewind the video and just try to cope up with us. So I'm just going to assume that everyone has the Unity installed. Now what I'm going to do next is going to install some package that will help me to initialize this AR application. To do that, I'm going to go to Window and Package Manager, and in here you will find the option called All Packages, right? So there is two options, All Packages in Project. We need the All Packages option, and then here I'm gonna search for AR Foundation, right? So when you find the plugin, just hit install and it's going to install the necessary assets into your project. Right, next, because for this example I am going to build the app for Android, so that's why I am going to install the ARCore SDK. Okay, so as you can see, there is this ARCore XR plugin, so I'm going to install that. That's it. So now when we are done installing this, if we right click on this hierarchy in our project and if we go to XR, we're going to see a lot of new options that was not there before. Okay, so if you are brand new to Unity, if you don't know anything about Unity, I'm just going to give you a real quick introduction of the editor. So by default the editor should look something like this, right? And every part of this editor has a particular name. For example, this portion in the left hand side of your screen where I am just moving my mouse cursor is called a hierarchy, right? The name is written on the top of that tab. Similarly, this is called the scene window, this is called the game window, this is called asset store, and so on. So everything that we do in our game should go inside this hierarchy. Okay, so everything that you put inside your scene or that like stays in your game is also going to be stay in the hierarchy. So hierarchy is the place where you put all your stuff. Okay, so if we try to create a new object or if we try to create a new camera, we always start with this hierarchy, number one. Number two is that when we click on one of the object in hierarchy, we can see the property of that object in the right hand side of the screen. This is called the inspector. So currently we are just going to talk about three windows which are really important. Hierarchy, which contains all the game object. If you click on one of the game object, in the right hand side we have inspector, where we can see the particular property of that game object. For example, I am clicking on the directional light and that shows me all the properties of the directional light in the right hand side of my window, right? Then this scene window is basically kind of an editor, right? So we can use this to change different kind of stuff in our game or in our environment. Finally, we have this project tab where we can store all the asset that we are going to use in our game. Okay, so for example, currently we don't have anything, we only have a scene, so that is the only asset we have. So the scene is combined with one main camera and one directional light. Okay, so I don't like this like format, so I am going to go to my the 2x3 is gone. Okay, so I don't know, I'm just gonna go to 4 split then and then get rid of this. I'm just going to do a quick configuration because I don't like the default formation of the Unity engine. So I'm more familiar with the older one, the older Unity layout, so this is what I prefer. But you can do whichever you prefer, like whatever you want. Okay, so yeah, what we should do now is going to first of all delete the main camera, because this is an AR application and we are going to do a we are going to use the camera of our device. We are not interested in the camera of this engine. So we can simply delete this, and as you can see there is no camera rendering right now. Next I'm going to right click, go to XR, and then in Unity AR Foundation, the first thing you need for an AR project is basically a session and an origin. Okay, so we are going to create both of them. We are going to create a session origin and a session. Okay, so a session origin contains an AR camera that is going to be popped up automatically when you first install your app, and it's going to ask for all the permission. You don't have to do anything manually, you don't have to write any code, it does it for you. So we are just going to take the power of that particular game object, right? Okay, next, if we now save and run our project, let's try that and try to build the project in our Android device and see what happens. If I go to file and then build settings, I need to change the platform from PC to Android and then click on switch platform. And then I'm going to just add the open scene, right? So then if I try to go to build settings and player settings, there is a few things that we need to take care about before we hit the build button. First of all, we need to give a name of the build, right? So we need to give a company name. I'm going to do it Joystick Lab. And then in the publishing settings, because we are not publishing it now, so we can put it empty, that's fine. In the resolution and presentation, I am going to put it as portrait, and also I am going to go to the other settings, and in here we need to make sure that the Vulkan API is disabled, right? So the ARCore does not support this API, this graphics API, so we need to work with the OpenGL. So we're just going to delete that. Next, ARCore doesn't support multi-threading, so we cannot use the multi-threaded rendering here. We need to uncheck that as well. Finally, here where you have the minimum API level, you need to make sure that it's at least Android 7. So I'm just going to do 7.1. Okay. When that's done, I'm just going to hit the build. I'm going to give it a name. I thought I have the JDK. Let me check. Okay, let's go to Unity Hub, and I'm just going to go to add modules, Android, right? So we can just install that. So if you see the same error like I got, you can go to Android build support and then you can just install that. This is new to Unity. The Unity 2019.3.4 has changed a lot from their previous version. I don't like this because they're moving on so fast and it's hard to cope up with, right? But yeah, I like Unity. So when everything is installing, I'm just going to connect my Android device with my computer so I can build and run the game. Okay, we start now. I'm going to close the Unity and open it again. Right, so then I'm just going to, yeah, so everything is configured now. That's good. I'm going to go to file and then build and run. Hope there is no error. Try. Okay, never mind. I'm just going to build the game first. Let's see if there is any build error or not. Just going to save. Okay, that's good. So it's building. There is no error till now. Right, so we have successfully built our first build with the AR foundation. Let's run this in our game and see what the output looks like. I think I have Visor installed here. Okay, so I think that the build and run was not working because I didn't mention that the run device should be the one that I'm connecting with. So let's try it again. That's weird. The debugging is obviously on. Just gonna try for the last time. If it doesn't work, then I'm just going to copy and paste the app. Yep, so it doesn't work. That's good. All right, so I'm not going to bore you guys with all this, and I'm just gonna move on. So yeah, so what will happen that if we now run the app, it will open the camera and it will ask for the permission to open the camera, and we can just move around the camera, nothing else will happen. Okay, so we're just going to move on, and I'll probably, hopefully, will show you the demo for the actual AR app later on when we build it from here. So we're just going to fix that later. Okay, so what did we do till now? We just created a main camera for the AR app, right? We just add the game object for a session, and then we hit the build to build the game. The next thing we need to do is basically detecting a plane. So the current AR apps mostly works almost like the same way. So they use some feature extraction method to find some feature or point cloud from your surface where you're pointing your camera to, right? So when there is a lot of feature points, then it can find out that, okay, I can create a geometrical shape from these feature points, right? So it can match those feature again, and next time when you track that same position, it can, you know, do some mathematical calculation, some complex algorithm, and like put the augmented component on that particular surface. So it all starts with simply finding the surface or the plane. So this algorithm of finding the place is basically a localization problem in computer vision. So the algorithm is called the odometry. Okay, so we are not going to talk about the odometry algorithm, and not going to go in depth of the background of the algorithm, because this needs a lot of, you know, vast knowledge of computer vision to understand the algorithms. Probably in the future classes, in some of the days, we're just going to talk about computer vision, and then we can talk about odometry. Okay, so yeah, so I'm just going to show you the papers, the actual algorithm that the ARCore is using to find out the real-time, you know, understanding of the world tracking. So these are the paper that you can search on Google if you're interested to learn more about this. You can go to this Scholar article and just search for visual inertia odometry. Okay, so this is the actual algorithm that has been used to do the world tracking. So long story short, we need to do something to track the world. Okay, so this is the process. We create a camera, we track the world. When we get the tracking information of the world by obviously feature extraction from that algorithm that we don't have to implement, then the computer or the device has some understanding of the world itself, right? Then it's easy for the computer or the app to put some stuff on that world. So to do that, first of all, we need to obviously find the surface, find a plane. To do that, we first of all need to create a plane object of the XR, and you'll see that all the stuff that I talked about just now sounds so complicated, right? But AR Foundation has made it so simple, and we can just do it with a bunch of clicks. So to do that, first of all, we need to create a default plane. So I'm just going to create a plane. I am going to call it AR plane, and I'm going to create a new folder, name it as prefab, and drag and drop the airplane on the prefab. Okay, awesome. Next, we need to make this prefab actually, you know, work with the plane tracker. So this plane, this AR plane, it is just a visualizer. When you find a plane, like I said, you track the world through your mobile camera. When you have enough tracking information, when AR Foundation have enough tracking information, it produce a plane, right? And that plane is this plane. So this is how the plane looks like, okay? And this is not going to work unless we give a way to track the actual feature informations, right? So next we need to do that. I'm just going to delete this. We already have the prefab, so we don't need that. We just need to go back to the session origin, and here I am going to create a plane manager. You can search for AR plane manager, and here you can see that there is a prefab asking for the plane prefab. So we're just going to drag and drop the plane prefab here. That's it. Now this is going to be a IKEA kind of app, right? This is going to be a furniture app where you put some furniture in your room floor. So that is why the detection mode should be only horizontal. So we are just going to click on the nothing first, and then we're going to select horizontal. Okay, that's it. If we now save the project and build again, I'm just going to build this, replace this, and in the meanwhile I'm going to download Android file manager. Okay, awesome. So I got the connection to my Android device. Let's copy the app, and then I'm going to install it and show you the output if I can. I just finger crossed if I can. If it allow me to show or share the screen here, then I'm going to show you guys the output. Visor. Okay. Right, so again I'm really sorry about all these things. I should have done this before, but basically I thought everything will run so smoothly, so I didn't even care to think about all this. So I'm just trying to do it now, so I apologize for all that stuff. Okay. Okay guys, so yeah, so now you can see the screen of my device, I think. Okay, that's better. I'm going to install the app. Okay, so now you need to hit allow, and then if I try to move this back and forth, as you can see, the plane is getting detected, right? So yeah, so we can basically, oh, did you guys see the output or no? I'm not sure. Right, so I'm going to move on, and now I'm going to show you that okay, I'm just going to move on. Maybe maybe later on, I don't know. I'm just gonna put some demo video and you can see that how it's actually working. If your project is not working, you can connect me back, like ping me in my email or in the Discord channel, and I'll try to help you out with that. Okay, so it should be working. So now by this time you can see the plane, right? But the problem is that the plane is not the color of the plane. Maybe we are not satisfied with the color of the plane. In that case, what we could do is, like, we can go to this plane prefab, right? And in here we can go to the material of this plane, right? We can go to this mesh renders material, and if we change the material with our own texture, we can find out that particular texture when we try to get a plane. So I'm going to give you a link in the chat box where you can find out all this primary knowledge of the AR foundation, just the one that we just discovered, right? So I'm just going to go to my account. There is this video, right? So I have this series. I started this series and we are going to go forward with the same series. So I'm just going to pass this in our chat so we can go through that video, and you can like follow the same process to see that how you can change the plane's texture. Okay, so I'm just gonna send you guys that now. Okay, so that's great. Now we have a plane. The next thing we need to do is basically add some object in the game when we tap on the screen. To do that, we will need a C# script. So let's right click on the asset folder, create a new folder, and I'm going to call it script. And in here I am going to create a new C# script. I am going to call it as input handler, maybe input manager, right? Now the input manager is going to take an input from the user and try to generate a augmented object on the environment where the user has clicked. Okay, so I am going to create a private game object. Actually we don't, maybe, okay, just let's do it public game object augmented object. So this is the object that is going to be augmented. Okay, and if we go back to Unity, if I go back to Unity and then drag and drop this anywhere, I'm just going to create a new game object, call it input manager, drag and drop the input manager here, and as you can see it's asking for an augmented object, right? So we can use this link to basically create an augmented object into our environment. So we can drag and drop that object prefab here, and then we can generate that object when you click the button. So this is the first thing that we need to do. Next, we are going to create a setting so that when you click on somewhere, that particular location is basically tracked by the computer. Right, so here what I'm going to do is just going to create a option to check that if the user is like clicking anywhere in the, or touching anywhere in the screen. Okay, so we can do that by finding the get mouse button down 0, right? I don't know why it's not giving me suggestions. Everything has to be wrong now. Okay, here I am going to, when I click anywhere in my screen, that is going to give me a true on this condition. Okay, so when you get that particular click, what you are going to do is get that position by input dot mouse position, right? So this is going to give you the actual, the actual mouse position where you clicking. But basically what we need is get the pass the position from the screen to a ray. Okay, so we're going to go there in a while, so I'm just going to comment that. So what our idea here is going to be is that we're going to throw a ray from the camera, right? So it is going to throw a virtual ray from the camera, which is called raycast. So we're just going to throw that ray, and if that ray has hit any of the object in the environment, then we're just going to spawn something in that particular location. So basically that means we need a raycast. So let's start with creating a raycast first. So we're just going to do private AR raycast manager. So to get that, we obviously need the XR namespace provided by Unity. And here we're just going to do AR raycast manager and raycast manager. Okay, so we have a raycast manager now. We can throw a ray from that raycast manager and try to find out that what did we hit with, right? So that means we next need a ray, and like I said, we are going to throw a ray from the camera to the location where the user has clicked in the screen, right? And then we're going to pass that ray to our raycast manager. So let's see. So we are also then going to need a camera, because like I said, we're going to throw the ray from the camera. So we'll create a AR camera, and in here I'm going to do ray is equal AR cam dot screen point to ray. So we're just going to take the input dot mouse position, which is inside the screen, right, the screen space, and we're going to convert that to a ray, right? So why we need the ray? Because we need to pass this ray to the raycast manager. Okay, so to do that, we're just going to do if the raycast manager. This is so annoying. I don't know why JetBrains is not showing me any kind of suggestion. Raycast ray, and then we need the heat information, right? So just bear with me, okay? So you guys see that we need a few things to configure all this work together. So first of all, we need the input location of the mouse, and we need to pass that input location to the screen point to ray, so we can convert the screen to we can convert the screen point to a ray, and that ray is going to be passed to the raycast manager. And finally, we need a heat information that is calculated through this raycast manager. Okay, so we are going to create a private list of AR raycast heat, and this is going to be hits. We're going to initialize it with the raycast heat class, and we can just pass that hits information here, right? So that means what will happen if it finds any kind of heat information by throwing a ray, which ray is basically calculated through the input position of the user's mouse location or the touch location, then we are going to store that heat information in this heat list. Okay, and then we are going to initialize that or instantiate that augmented object, right? We're going to instantiate this guy wherever we basically hit, right? So how can we get that location? Well, we can get that location and the rotation with something called the pose. So we can do hit of 0 dot pose. So from the information of these hits, right, we are getting the pose of that particular hit, and we're just like we're just going to use that to locate the instant object. Okay, for example, here we're using this augmented object. So rather than putting it inside this bracket, this is going to make our code ugly. So I'm going to create a new pose class instance, and then I'm going to store that here, right? That will help us to do this pose dot position, pose dot rotation. Awesome. Right, so yeah, that's about it. So now as you move on, if you now again build and run the game, I cannot do it, I don't know what happened. If we run the game, obviously by assigning some component, I'll show you that in a while, it should generate new object whenever you click somewhere in the screen. Okay, so it will throw a ray from the point you click to the environment, and then in the environment we will see the object instant. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Unity, and then I'm going to assign some object that I want to instantiate. I'm going to go back to Google, find some object from Sketchfab. This is a brilliant website. We can also use Poly, right? So we can either use Poly, that is from Google, right? So you can use this Poly to get some furniture. Right, I'm going to use one of this, download this. They are all GLTF file. This is going to be, we can obviously use one of this, but I am going to go to Sketchfab because they have direct support for Unity. So you can go to Sketchfab, and then you can search for furniture and grab one of them. There is free options as well. I'm going to grab one of the free asset, probably this one maybe, if that is downloadable. Yeah, it's downloadable. So if you click on there, you will need an account. I thought I have an account already, but let's log in.